All right, guys, what's going on? Brian back here with a Raw recap, quick recap of everything that went down on tonight's episode of Monday Night Raw. Of course, the big news coming out of today was that involving WWE Champion Drew McIntyre testing positive for COVID-19. I want to wish Drew a speedy recovery, um, and he'll probably come back, and he'll fight this, and he'll come back stronger and better than ever. Um, so then a couple hours after they announced that Drew was not going to be on Raw tonight to face Randy Orton, they then announced that Triple H would be there, and that is how we kicked off Raw with Triple H. Um, Before he could say anything, Randy Orton would come out. One thing would lead to another. Randy would challenge him to a fight. Triple H would say no, but then Randy would goad Triple H into punching him, which he did by mentioning Stephanie. And then a little bit later on, during an interview, Triple H would accept the challenge from Randy Orton for a fight, and that is what ended Monday Night Raw. Triple H and Randy Orton going at it. We saw Lacey Evans, with the help of Charlotte Flair's father, Nature Boy Ric Flair, pick up the win over Charlotte. We had a Keith Lee, Sheamus, Miz, and Morrison backstage segment, which would set up a tag team match for later on. Jackson Riker would defeat Jeff Hardy. Then Jeff Hardy would follow up that loss by defeating Elias, who he was originally supposed to fight, but Elias, when he made his way to the ring, said that he had a debilitating injury he had suffered during recording of music in the studio, but that did not deter this match from happening, as Jeff Hardy would pick up the win over Elias. Then Sheamus and Keith Lee, they would defeat The Miz and John Morrison. Then it would turn into Keith Lee and Sheamus going one-on-one. Keith Lee would pick up the win with the Spirit Bomb. We heard from Drew McIntyre on his confrontation with Bill Goldberg last week at the end of Raw Legends Night. He talked about how him and his brother used to be a fan of Goldberg's. And he said that maybe Goldberg is the one that needs to be taught about respect. And he accepted the challenge. So at the Royal Rumble, it will be Drew McIntyre defending the WWE Championship versus Goldberg in 2 weeks from this Sunday at the Royal Rumble event. We had a Riddle and Lucha House Party backstage segment where Riddle talked about his upcoming United States title match against the champion Bobby Lashley. We saw T-Bar pick up the win over Xavier Woods. There was a Randy Orton interview talking about his fight against Triple H coming up. Lashley, in very dominant fashion, defeated Riddle to retain the United States title. Afterwards, Riddle would challenge MVP to a match, and Riddle would win that one via disqualification when Bobby Lashley got involved, and him and MVP would leave Riddle laying. Then we would have a AJ Styles #1 contender to the Universal Championship, Adam Pearce, and Drew Gulak backstage segment where Styles was talking to Pearce about how Styles is going to win the Royal Rumble, and if by some sort of luck Adam Pearce defeats Roman Reigns for the Universal title, that's going to be Styles versus Pearce at WrestleMania. Then Drew Gulak came in and said he wants to enter the Royal Rumble match, and Pearce basically told him that you have to earn your way into the Royal Rumble match. And it's like, when I heard this, I thought to myself, wait a minute. How in the world are you going to tell Drew Gulak that he has to earn his way into the Royal Rumble match when you have AJ Styles, Randy Orton, Daniel Bryan, Lashley on the men's side, And then on the women's side, you have Charlotte Flair, Nia Jax, uh, Bayley, Bianca Belair, and then tonight we found out that Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose are going to be a part of the Royal Rumble, the women's Royal Rumble match. How are you going to say that, oh, Drew Gulak, you have to earn your opportunity, but everybody else can declare themselves to enter their respective Royal Rumble matches? It's like, what? When did that happen? Is it because, oh, well, if you're not on that level, if you're on a certain level, you have to earn your way, but if you're on a higher level, you could just declare yourself to enter the Rumble? So I don't think that makes any sense. I feel like they should just have matches to see who's going to be qualifying for these Royal Rumble matches. Specifically, if you're going to have, so many superstars from Raw, so many superstars from SmackDown, and then maybe having some surprise appearances, it's like, then why do you do that? I don't know. But this would lead to AJ Styles versus Drew Gulak, where if Gulak wins, he's in the Royal Rumble match. However, that did not happen, as AJ Styles picked up the win with the phenomenal forearm. They did a look at the career of Goldberg. I thought they were going to announce that Goldberg was going to be there next week. I thought that was going to be for sure, but that did not happen. We had a Triple H and Keith Lee backstage segment where Keith Lee tried to tell Triple H, you know what? You've been there for me. Let me be there for you, and let me fight Randy Orton for you. And Triple H said, no, I started this mess. I have to clean it up. So then we had Nia Jax and Shayna Baszler defeating Dana Brooke and Mandy Rose in tag team action. Then during the Triple H and Randy Orton fight, the lights would start to go out, of course, which meant the return of the Fiend, or we thought we would see the Fiend. But when the Triple H's sledgehammer that he had grabbed from under the ring to use on Randy would magically set on fire, and lights would go out. Then the purple light would come on, and you would hear a slow version of the Firefly Funhouse song. Then when Randy turns around, Alexa Bliss would be standing in the corner of the ring. Randy looks at her, is wondering what the heck is going on. He's looking around for the Fiend. However, he would be in for a real surprise, as Alexa Bliss would throw a fireball, or some kind of, looked like a fireball or something exploded, and I think it was a fireball to the face of Randy Orton, blinding him, and that is how Raw went off the air, with Randy Orton in pain and holding his face after being burned. So obviously, this feud between the Fiend, Alexa Bliss, and Randy Orton is far from over. So that was pretty much it for Monday Night Raw. I watched the full 3 hours like I did last week. I really was not entertained this week. I'm sorry to say, last week I really enjoyed the Drew McIntyre and Keith Lee WWE title match. However, there was nothing on this week's episode that really got me as far as thinking that this show was great. There might be people out there that might have thought this episode was good, but in my opinion, it was terrible. So, with that being said, this has been my WWE Monday Night Raw recap. As always, I am Brian, and thank you for watching.